The azure sky of Zephyr unfolded before Morgan Steele's viewport, its twin moons casting shimmering halos through the layered clouds. He adjusted his uniform collar, the fabric still unyielding despite 6 months of travel. The weight of the diplomatic insignia pressed heavily against his chest as the ship's AI announced their final approach. Local atmospheric conditions, nominal. Please prepare for descent. Morgan quickly reviewed his mission parameters on his tablet. Establish diplomatic relations, assess cultural compatibility, and evaluate potential for technological exchange. On paper, these tasks seemed straightforward, but first contact was rarely uncomplicated. As the landing pad emerged from the dispersing clouds, Morgan noted its hexagonal platform, constructed from a crystalline material that pulsed with internal illumination. A delegation of tall, blue-skinned beings stood in perfect geometric formation, their metallic robes glinting in the light of the setting sun. "Showtime," Morgan murmured, straightening his shoulders as the ship's landing gear engaged. The delegation remained motionless as he stepped through the airlock, their faces impassive and almost statue-like. Only their eyes, with distinctive silver irises glowing faintly, tracked his descent. One figure advanced, female, he noted, though the sexual dimorphism of the Zephyrians was subtle. Her robes featured intricate patterns, indicating her significance. "Greetings, Ambassador Steele," she said, her voice carrying a melodic quality that the translation matrix struggled to fully convey. "I am Chief Scientific Observer Sora. Welcome to Zephyr." Morgan executed a formal bow. "Thank you for your hospitality, Observer Sora. I bring greetings from Earth and the United Planetary Council." He extended his hand, offering the traditional Earth greeting. Sora paused, tilting her head slightly. The other Zephyrians shifted ever so slightly. "Ah, the human custom of manual contact during introductions," she said, intrigued. "Fascinating. Though our protocols typically discourage physical interaction, I have been authorized to engage in Earth customs for research purposes." She reached out, her long fingers cool against his palm. The moment their hands touched, her eyes widened fractionally, and Morgan noticed a subtle fluctuation in the geometric designs of her robes. "The thermal exchange is unexpected," she remarked, withdrawing her hand. "You humans have a higher body temperature than we do. Just one of many differences I hope we can explore." Morgan smiled diplomatically. "And similarities, too." "Indeed." Sora gestured toward a towering structure of crystalline spires in the distance. "Please follow me to the integration chamber, where we have prepared appropriate environments for your stay." As they walked, Morgan studied Sora more closely. Her movements were precise, almost mechanical, with the other Zephyrians maintaining exact distances from one another, their steps perfectly synchronized. Only Sora exhibited slight variations in her gait. Whether due to her authority or genuine individuality was uncertain. The integration chamber revealed itself as a vast hall with walls that shifted like liquid metal. Holographic displays materialized and vanished in complex patterns, which Morgan suspected held meanings he could not yet decode. "Your quarters have been calibrated to Earth's standard atmosphere and gravity," Sora explained, leading him to a designated area. "However, we recommend limited exposure to our native environment initially." "Very thoughtful. Thank you," Morgan replied, observing the chamber's design. "I notice your architecture favors hexagonal patterns. Is this purely aesthetic, or does it serve a functional purpose?" Sora's expression changed slightly, the first genuine shift in demeanor he had witnessed. "You are observant, Ambassador. The hexagonal paradigm represents optimal efficiency in our society. All aspects of Zephyrian life are structured to eliminate waste and maximize productive output, including emotional responses." Morgan inquired cautiously, "Emotional responses?" The other Zephyrians tensed slightly. "Emotions are inefficient," Sora stated. "Our ancestors developed technology to regulate such disruptions. This allows us to focus on advancement rather than be sidetracked by temporary chemical states." "I understand." Morgan maintained a neutral tone. "Earth has attempted similar approaches in our past, but we found that emotions, while sometimes challenging, drive innovation and creativity. They're part of what makes us human." Sora's silver eyes bore into him with renewed intensity. You embrace inefficiency as a positive trait? We embrace our humanity. All of it, even the messy parts, he smiled. Speaking of which, I hope you'll join me for a meal soon. Sharing food is an important Earth custom for building trust. Breaking bread, Sora furrowed her brow slightly. Ah, you refer to the communal act of consuming nutrition. Another curious ritual. She paused before adding, I would be interested in observing this custom. For research purposes, of course. Of course, Morgan replied, noting the emphasis she placed on research purposes, as if needing to justify her interest to her fellow Zephyrians. We have prepared a schedule of formal interactions, Sora continued, gesturing at a holographic display that appeared between them. However, I have been authorized to adjust parameters as needed to facilitate optimal cultural exchange. I appreciate the flexibility, Morgan acknowledged. In my experience, the most valuable diplomatic insights often arise from informal interactions. Something flickered in Sora's eyes, curiosity or interest. It was gone too quickly to be certain. A most unusual approach, she noted, but perhaps worth exploring. The other Zephyrians exchanged glances, the first sign of spontaneous interaction he had seen from them. For now, you should rest and acclimate, Sora advised. The integration protocols will begin tomorrow at first light. Thank you, Morgan replied, glancing at the shifting patterns in her robes. Those designs in your clothing, do they respond to something? Emotional states, perhaps? Sora's hand moved to her robe, then stopped, as if she caught herself in an unconscious gesture. They are monitoring devices to ensure the optimal functioning of our regulatory systems. They're beautiful, Morgan commented simply. Beauty is irrelevant to their function, Sora responded, but he sensed a slight flicker of pride. Perhaps, he countered, but beauty itself serves a purpose. It inspires us, moves us, and makes us aspire for something beyond pure efficiency. The patterns in Sora's robes began to ripple more noticeably. The other Zephyrians stepped back slightly, their own robes displaying rapid geometric shifts. You express many unusual concepts, Ambassador, Sora said, her voice revealing a slight tremor. I look forward to analyzing them further. For now, please rest. Tomorrow will bring many new experiences for us both. As she turned to leave, she paused. The gesture you performed earlier, the hand contact, is it reserved for initial meetings, or can it be repeated? A handshake can be exchanged whenever people wish to express friendship or agreement, Morgan explained. Would you like to try it again? Sora glanced at her fellow Zephyrians, who had become very still. Perhaps tomorrow during our research sessions, she suggested. The mission parameters hadn't changed, but Morgan suspected the path to achieving them had just become more intricate and potentially more intriguing than anyone had anticipated. He pulled out his tablet and began his first report. Initial contact established with Zephyrian delegation. Standard protocols observed, though notable variations in individual responses detected. Chief Scientific Observer Sora designated as a primary liaison. She exhibits unusual interest in human customs and emotional expressions. Recommend focusing cultural exchange efforts through this channel while maintaining careful observation of broader social dynamics. Personal note, their technology for emotional suppression seems extensive, but perhaps not as complete as they believe. Further investigation needed. Morgan paused, then added one final line. Potential breakthrough point identified. We'll proceed with caution. He sent the encrypted report through quantum channels back to Earth Command, then lay back on the surprisingly comfortable bed, studying the shifting patterns on the ceiling above him. Tomorrow would mark the formal beginning of diplomatic relations between their species, but something told him the real story, the one not found in any protocol manual, was just beginning to unfold. The patterns above danced like thoughts yearning to break free from rigid geometric constraints. He wondered if Sora was observing similar patterns somewhere in the vast complex, perhaps pondering questions she had never considered before today. First contact was always a dance of discovery, but this time, Morgan sensed both partners might learn steps they had never realized they wanted to explore. He closed his eyes, preparing for the following day's research sessions, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Sometimes the most effective diplomatic approach was simply being human, and he had a feeling that was precisely what this situation required. Morning arrived with the rise of Zephyr's binary suns, casting prismatic shadows through Morgan's quarters. He was already awake, reviewing cultural briefings, when his communication panel chimed. Ambassador Steele, Sora's voice filled the room. "Are you prepared to begin today's research sessions?" "Of course," he replied, noting the subtle variation in her usual formal tone. "Where shall we meet?" "I have prepared a private observation chamber for optimal data collection," she stated quickly. "The communal spaces contain too many variables." Morgan smiled at her scientific justification. "Lead the way, Observer Sora." The observation chamber proved to be an intimate space, its walls shifting between translucent and opaque. Sora stood near a floating console, her robes displaying more active patterns than the day before. "I have questions," she said without preamble as the doors sealed behind them. "About human customs, specifically regarding physical proximity and its relationship to communication, such as the handshake we shared yesterday." "Yes," Morgan replied, noticing her robe patterns quickening. "Would you like to explore that question practically?" Sora's hand twitched slightly. For research purposes, she agreed, extending it again. This time, when their hands met, Morgan held the contact longer, allowing her to feel the warmth of human touch. Her fingers trembled almost imperceptibly. "Physical contact carries meaning beyond mere gesture," he explained softly. "It creates connection, trust, understanding that transcends words." "Fascinating," she breathed, her gaze unwavering as she did not withdraw her hand. "Our society considers such direct contact unnecessary, potentially disruptive." "What do you view it as?" Morgan replied, "I find it educational." The observation chamber was a sanctuary of light and shadow, the walls shifting like living beings, reflecting the nuances of their conversation. As Morgan and Sora maintained their hand contact, he felt an unspoken bond forming, an unusual intimacy that transcended the confines of their respective cultures. The warmth of human touch met the coolness of her Zephyrian skin, creating a fascinating juxtaposition that sparked intrigue in both of them. "I can sense a complex interaction occurring," Sora said, her voice now tinged with curiosity rather than analysis. "During our previous contact, there was an elevation in neural activity detected in both our systems. You appear to experience emotions intensely." Morgan smiled, aware that this was no mere scientific observation, but a genuine inquiry into human nature. "We do. Emotions shape our experiences, guide our decisions, and drive us to connect with others. They are integral to our existence, not just impediments." Sora nodded thoughtfully, her robe patterns swirling gently as if echoing her thoughts. "I find this perspective fascinating. It appears to offer insights into your species that my understanding has overlooked. You connect through emotion, yet we strive for efficiency and regulation. Perhaps that's why we're here, to learn from each other," Morgan suggested, feeling a sense of purpose stirring within him. "Each perspective holds value, and maybe there's a balance to be found." Sora's eyes brightened with interest. "A balance? Yes, that could be an intriguing area of exploration." She withdrew her hand reluctantly, her robe settling into stillness. "Shall we proceed with the agenda? I have devised several experiments to better understand your cultural practices." "Absolutely," Morgan agreed, eager to delve deeper into their cultural exchange. "What do you have in mind?" Sora motioned to the floating console, and holographic displays sprung to life, revealing a series of interconnected diagrams and schedules. "We will begin with an exploration of your communal dining rituals. I propose that we simulate a traditional Earth meal, allowing us to observe the interactions and emotional exchanges that occur during this activity." Morgan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "A meal simulation? How do you plan to recreate the experience?" "With our technology, we can project sensory stimuli to mimic the taste, smell, and ambience of your dining customs. I will also include visual elements to represent the setting." Sora's excitement was palpable, her silver eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. You will be able to guide me through the steps while I record the data. That sounds fantastic, he replied, feeling a thrill of anticipation. I can walk you through a typical meal, but I must warn you, it can get quite lively. Sharing food is more than just nourishment for us. It's a bonding experience. Lively? Sora echoed, her brow furrowing in curiosity. What does that entail? Morgan chuckled softly. Laughter, storytelling, sometimes even arguments over who gets the last piece of bread. We express ourselves fully, and those emotions can run high. It's all part of the experience. Sora's expression brightened. Then I am eager to witness this liveliness. Let us begin. With a flourish of her hand, Sora initiated the simulation. The chamber darkened, and a soft, warm light enveloped them. A holographic table appeared, laden with an array of dishes, each one a masterpiece of color and texture. The scents of garlic, herbs, and freshly baked bread wafted through the air, instantly transporting Morgan back to family dinners filled with laughter and camaraderie. Now, I will need you to guide me through the preparation of this meal, Sora instructed, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. What is the first step? First, we gather the ingredients, Morgan replied, feeling a rush of nostalgia. In this case, let's start with a simple pasta dish. We'll need flour, eggs, and a few spices. Sora nodded, her fingers dancing over the controls. And how do we gather these ingredients? Is there a ritual to this? Morgan considered her question, enjoying the chance to share more about his culture. In many households, cooking together is a cherished activity. It's a time to bond and share stories. Sometimes we even sing songs or play music while we cook. Sora's interest deepened. What types of music do you enjoy? Varied, he replied. From classical to pop, every culture has its rhythm. Music brings us together, often enhancing the emotions we share. Sora appeared intrigued. Could you demonstrate a song from your culture during our meal? Morgan laughed lightly. I could try, but I might not do it justice. However, I can certainly introduce you to some popular Earth songs. You'd enjoy the emotion behind them. Emotion, she repeated, her gaze intent. It is a central theme in your culture. I wish to experience this connection firsthand. The table shimmered as the dishes transformed before them, vibrant pastas and rich sauces materializing in a mesmerizing display. Now, we begin the cooking, he said, pointing to the holographic display. The first step is to mix the flour and eggs. As Morgan walked Sora through the process, they both laughed at the holographic pasta that danced and swirled in the air, demonstrating the process of kneading and rolling. Sora mimicked his actions, her long fingers moving with care and precision. You see, he said, feeling more comfortable, the act of cooking is about creating something together. It's the shared experience that fosters bonds. Sora's robe shifted in subtle response, the patterns pulsating rhythmically. And in this connection, you find value beyond mere sustenance. Exactly, Morgan said, feeling a rush of enthusiasm. The meal is a reflection of who we are, a blend of flavors, cultures, and emotions. It's a celebration of life. The simulation transitioned, showing them seated at the table, the meal now fully prepared. Morgan gestured for Sora to take a seat beside him. Now comes the best part. Sharing the meal? As they dined, Sora observed Morgan with keen interest, her eyes reflecting the brilliance of the holographic light. How do you initiate conversation during such meals? Morgan smiled, recalling countless family dinners. It's often spontaneous. One person might share a funny story, and soon everyone is laughing. We talk about our day, our dreams, and sometimes even our fears. It's an exchange of experiences. Sora's robe rippled with the rhythm of her curiosity. What if someone brings up a topic that elicits strong emotional responses? How is that managed? Emotions are welcome, Sora, he replied earnestly. They are what make us human. If someone is upset, we support them. If someone is joyful, we celebrate together. It's all part of the human experience. Sora's silver eyes glimmered as she considered his words. I see now. You embrace the entirety of your being. As the meal simulation progressed, Morgan introduced various traditional Earth phrases. This is where we toast. raising our glasses to one another to express goodwill and friendship. He lifted his glass, a holographic shimmer reflecting the vibrant colors around them. To new beginnings. Sora mirrored his action, a hint of awe in her voice. To new beginnings. The two clinked their glasses, the sound resonating throughout the chamber. In that moment, Morgan felt a shift in their connection, a burgeoning understanding that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. After the meal simulation ended, Sora looked at Morgan, her expression contemplative. Your customs are rich and deeply embedded in your society. I have learned much today. I've enjoyed sharing them, he replied, his heart swelling with a sense of accomplishment. But this is just the beginning. I'm eager to learn about your customs, too. Sora's eyes sparkled with excitement. In our society, we value knowledge and the pursuit of efficiency. I wish to show you the integration of our cultural practices with our technological advancements. I'm ready for that, Morgan said, feeling a sense of adventure. Let's dive deeper into what makes you who you are. Then let us begin, Sora said, her voice melodic with promise. Together, they ventured deeper into the exploration of their respective cultures, each exchange filled with laughter, insight, and the hope of bridging the divide between their worlds. As they prepared to embrace the next steps in their diplomatic journey, both felt a sense of anticipation, a realization that this dance of curiosity had only just begun. The following days blurred into a whirlwind of exploration as Morgan and Sora immersed themselves in each other's cultures. Each encounter was a unique blend of discovery and understanding, with laughter punctuating their conversations like notes in a vibrant melody. Sora's fascination with Earth customs grew, and Morgan found himself equally intrigued by Zephyrian practices. One afternoon, as they gathered in the observation chamber, Sora initiated their meeting with a look of determination. Today, I propose we delve into the realm of art and expression. I wish to understand how your culture utilizes creativity to convey emotion. Morgan's eyes lit up. Art is a fundamental part of human experience. It captures our feelings, stories, and shared history. Whether through painting, music, or literature, art allows us to express what words sometimes cannot. Interesting. And how does this translate into communal experiences? Sora inquired, her silver eyes gleaming with curiosity. Art is often shared, Morgan explained. Think of concerts, theater performances, or art exhibitions. They're gatherings where people come together to experience something collectively, often sparking deep emotional connections. Collective emotional responses, Sora mused, her robe patterns shifting subtly as if responding to the weight of the topic. In our society, we engage with art primarily through visual stimuli, focusing on patterns and their efficiencies. I wonder how such an emotionally charged expression could coexist with your chaotic human existence. Chaos can lead to beauty, Morgan replied, smiling at her perception. Sometimes, it's in the messiness that we find our most profound truths. Let me show you an example. With a few gestures on the holographic console, Morgan called up a selection of famous Earth artworks, from Van Gogh's swirling starry night to Frida Kahlo's deeply personal self-portraits. As the images flickered to life, Sora's gaze sharpened, her expression shifting from analytical to captivated. Each of these works conveys distinct emotional landscapes, Morgan said. Van Gogh's work reflects his internal struggles, while Kahlo's art speaks to pain and identity. They tell stories that transcend time and space. Sora tilted her head, the holographic display illuminating her features in a soft glow. But how do you derive meaning from such chaos? Is it not overwhelming? It can be, but that's the beauty of it, Morgan said, his voice rich with passion. Art allows us to explore our feelings and connect with others. When you stand before a painting or listen to a powerful symphony, you can feel part of something larger than yourself. Sora's fingers danced over the console, and a new image materialized, an intricate pattern of geometric shapes pulsing in vibrant colors. This is a piece of Zephyrian art, she explained. It represents our philosophy of harmony and balance, conveying a sense of peace and efficiency. The colors and shapes are designed to evoke tranquility rather than tumult. Morgan leaned closer, intrigued. It's beautiful, but it feels controlled. I sense the intent behind it. It's as if the artist has dictated how one should feel. Indeed, Sora replied. In our culture, art serves a purpose, aligning with our ideals of efficiency and emotional regulation. We aim to evoke a specific response, guiding our audience towards a collective understanding. While that's fascinating, I wonder if it limits the expression of individual experience, Morgan pondered aloud. Art, for us, is often personal and sometimes chaotic, reflecting our joys and sorrows without restriction. It invites interpretation rather than dictating a singular response. Perhaps we should experiment with this concept, Sora suggested, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Let's create a piece of art together, something that embodies both our cultures. Great idea, Morgan replied, feeling a rush of excitement. Let's use a holographic canvas and combine our styles. We can each contribute elements that represent our experiences. With a few swift commands, the console transformed the chamber into a vibrant studio, complete with a floating holographic canvas. What should we start with? Morgan asked, glancing at Sora. I believe we should begin with the shapes and colors that define our cultures, she replied, gesturing to the canvas. You may wish to introduce organic forms representing your chaotic nature. Morgan nodded, envisioning a swirling vortex of colors, the kind that evoked emotions akin to the storms of his childhood. And I'll include something of your geometric elegance, he added. Perhaps a representation of balance to contrast with the chaos. They began to work, Morgan layering chaotic swirls of color onto the canvas, while Sora introduced precise geometric shapes that flowed harmoniously within the chaos. As they created, Morgan felt the energy shift in the room, their collaborative efforts sparking something profound between them. Your colors are vibrant, Sora remarked, her eyes gleaming as she manipulated the patterns. They are filled with emotion, almost like a living thing. They're an expression of feeling, Morgan said, his hands moving with passion. Each color represents something: happiness, sorrow, anger, joy. They intertwine and overlap, just like our experiences. As the artwork developed, a unique fusion emerged, a swirling tempest of colors intertwined with structured forms, each side reflecting the essence of their cultures. The piece radiated energy, a visual representation of their growing understanding and connection. Sora stepped back, her expression one of awe. This is extraordinary. I never imagined that combining our styles could yield such a visceral outcome. It's a perfect blend, Morgan agreed, marveling at the artwork. It shows that even chaos and order can coexist, creating something beautiful together. Indeed, Sora said, her silver eyes shimmering with excitement. It captures the essence of our shared exploration and the potential for understanding. As they continued to refine their creation, Morgan felt an undeniable shift in their dynamic. The boundaries that once separated them, human and Zephyrian, chaotic and structured, began to blur. In this act of creation, they forged a new understanding, one that transcended their individual identities. May I propose we unveil this piece at a gathering? Sora asked suddenly, her expression serious yet hopeful. It could serve as a symbol of our diplomatic exchange, showcasing the beauty of collaboration between our cultures. Morgan considered her suggestion. That's a wonderful idea. It could inspire others to embrace the beauty of diversity. Then it is settled, Sora said, her voice carrying an air of determination. We will organize an exhibition, inviting both Zephyrians and humans to witness this unique creation. I believe it could foster deeper connections. I'm in, Morgan replied, feeling a thrill at the thought of sharing their collaborative effort. Let's make this happen. As they prepared for the exhibition, the anticipation in the air was palpable. The artwork, a testament to their journey together, began to take on a life of its own, reflecting not just their individual identities, but the potential for growth and understanding between their species. The night before the exhibition, Morgan sat in his quarters, contemplating the path they had taken. The once clear distinctions between human and Zephyrian were now interwoven in ways he had never expected. He realized that this journey was about more than diplomacy. It was about embracing the unknown, the beautiful chaos of connection. As he closed his eyes, he thought of Sora, the way her curiosity lit up her silver eyes, the warmth of her laughter, and the unexpected depth of their discussions. This was only the beginning of their shared exploration, and he felt an undeniable sense of hope for what lay ahead. Tomorrow would mark a significant step in their journey, one that could reshape the narrative between their worlds. And as Morgan drifted into sleep, he couldn't help but smile at the thought of what they might discover together, a dance of curiosity and understanding that had only just begun to unfold. The day of the exhibition dawned bright and clear, the twin suns of Zia bathing the capital in a warm, golden light. Morgan awoke with a mix of excitement and apprehension, the anticipation of sharing their collaborative artwork weighing heavily on his mind. He dressed in a formal ensemble tailored for the occasion, a blend of human design and subtle Zephyrian influences that made him feel connected to both worlds. As he made his way to the exhibition hall, the vibrant energy of Zarya buzzed around him. The streets were alive with a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds, Zephyrians adorned in their flowing metallic robes moving gracefully, their patterns shifting in response to the sunlight. Morgan couldn't help but admire how the intricate designs reflected their cultural emphasis on harmony and efficiency. Upon arriving at the exhibition hall, he was greeted by Sora, her presence commanding and elegant. She wore a robe woven with intricate designs that seemed to ripple with energy. "Ambassador Morgan," she said, her voice melodic and filled with excitement. "Today is a momentous occasion." "Indeed, it is," Morgan replied, his nerves settling as he met her gaze. "I'm thrilled to see how everyone reacts to our work." As guests began to fill the hall, Morgan felt a swell of pride. Zephyrians mingled with a delegation from Earth, the two cultures coming together to witness this unique collaboration. The atmosphere was charged with curiosity, conversations bubbling with anticipation. "May I have your attention, please?" Sora's voice rang out, capturing the crowd's focus. The room fell silent as she stepped forward, her silver eyes shimmering with intensity. "Today, we celebrate the convergence of our two worlds through art and understanding. What you are about to see is not merely a piece of artwork, but a symbol of our shared journey." With a graceful gesture, she unveiled their collaborative piece, revealing the swirling tempest of colors intertwined with geometric shapes. Gasps filled the room as the audience took in the vibrant spectacle, its energy radiating from the canvas. This work represents the balance between chaos and order, the fusion of human emotion and Zephyrian efficiency, Morgan explained, stepping forward. "It reflects our experiences, our hopes, and our potential to bridge our cultures." The murmurs of appreciation echoed through the hall as attendees examined the artwork closely. Morgan noticed Sora's expression of satisfaction as they explored the piece together, her fingers tracing the flowing lines of color. "Each layer of this work embodies a different aspect of our cultures," she remarked, her voice low. "The chaos you introduce provides a fascinating contrast to our structured forms. I can feel the energy resonating from it." "I'm glad it resonates with you," Morgan replied, heartened by her enthusiasm. "It shows that we can learn from each other's strengths and weaknesses. There's beauty in the interplay between our differences." As the exhibition progressed, guests began to share their interpretations of the artwork. A Zephyrian elder expressed admiration for the vibrant colors, noting how they represented emotional depth. An Earth diplomat commented on the geometric patterns, praising their elegance and efficiency. Sora and Morgan moved through the crowd, engaging in discussions that bridged the gap between their cultures. Morgan found himself captivated by the varied perspectives, each one adding another layer of meaning to their creation. Eventually, the conversation shifted towards the future. "What comes next for our two peoples?" one of the Earth delegates asked, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "How do we build on this moment?" Sora glanced at Morgan, her expression thoughtful. "We can foster ongoing exchanges, cultural, scientific, and artistic. Perhaps we can establish a shared forum where ideas and experiences can flow freely between our worlds. I agree, Morgan said, feeling a surge of excitement at the thought. Let's create a platform for collaboration where we can engage in dialogue and share knowledge. This exhibition could be just the beginning. Their conversation sparked interest among the crowd, and soon people were enthusiastically discussing ways to formalize these exchanges. Morgan's heart swelled with hope as he observed the genuine connections forming in real time, barriers falling away as they shared laughter and ideas. As the event drew to a close, Sora and Morgan took a moment to step outside, the air filled with the sweet scent of blooming flora from the gardens surrounding the hall. The golden light of the setting suns cast a warm glow on everything, creating a magical atmosphere. I didn't expect this to go so well, Morgan admitted, glancing at Sora, who wore a satisfied smile. The energy in there was incredible. Sora nodded, her silver eyes reflecting the twilight. It was a powerful experience. I believe we've sparked something that will grow beyond this single event. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, the weight of their accomplishment settling in. Morgan felt a profound sense of connection with Sora, realizing how much they had both changed since their first encounter. Thank you for believing in this collaboration, Sora said, breaking the silence. Your willingness to share your culture has opened new pathways for understanding. I couldn't have done it without you, Sora, Morgan replied sincerely. Your curiosity and open-mindedness have made this journey worthwhile. I look forward to what we can create together moving forward. Together, Sora echoed, her voice soft but filled with conviction. A new beginning for both our peoples. As they stood side by side, watching the vibrant colors of the sunset merge into one another, Morgan felt an overwhelming sense of hope. They were at the dawn of something beautiful, a partnership that transcended differences and embraced the potential of what could be achieved together. Let's make a promise, Sora said, turning to face him, her expression earnest, that we will continue to explore, to learn from each other, and to forge a path towards understanding. Morgan extended his hand, mirroring the gesture he had shared during their first meeting. I promise, he said, his heart racing with excitement as she took his hand. As their hands met, a warm glow enveloped them, the shared energy between them radiating like a beacon of possibility. In that moment, Morgan understood that this was more than a diplomatic mission. It was a journey of mutual discovery, a tapestry woven with the threads of two distinct cultures coming together. The future held endless possibilities, and as they stood there, hand in hand, the world felt full of promise. Together, they would explore the vastness of the unknown, one step at a time.